Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now, today's first story, I do want to give you a warning before we do get into it, in case you want to skip the story. Timestamp's always down in the description and along the timeline below, by the way, but it contains talk of death of loved ones, a car accident as well. So if you do want to skip it, please feel free to do so. As I said, you have been warned. Much love, guys. Now, this story is from QuitLady3013 from the Am I the Arsehole Here subreddit. It says, Am I the arsehole here? I'm telling my fiance that my little brother is more important than him in our upcoming wedding. I'm 30 female and I'm currently 2 months pregnant with my first child and engaged to my fiance of 3 years, James, 31. For a little background, when I was 15, my parents had my baby brother. And 5 years after, while I was 20 and Matt was 5, my parents and Matt were driving home when they got into an accident, resulting in my parents' death. After the accident, I was completely destroyed and devastated, but I had to pull myself together to be there for my brother. In the following month, I buried my parents, and with the help of my aunt and uncle, I applied for guardianship of my brother. It took about 7 months before I was approved. I had to get a stable job/income, which I did. Proper housing for me and my brother, which I did by using money from my inheritance to buy a house and other little things. But in the end, I got my guardianship of my brother. It was hard at first, working while looking after my brother. It's easy now, but there are still its ups and downs, but I would do it all over again for my brother. I met my fiance when I was 27 at a gathering, and we just clicked. After 3 months of dating, he proposed to me. At first I said no because I still have my brother to take care of, but after thinking I said yes, and we agreed to wait until we were financially stable. In the beginning of this year, we wanted to tie the knot since I was pregnant, because I didn't want a baby to be born out of wedlock, and we started the preparations, and the wedding is happening in October. But from what happened last week, Saturday night, it looks like there isn't going to be a wedding. There were many issues where we fought and resolved. For example, the wedding date. The date my fiance wanted for the wedding was on my brother's birthday. I had a problem with that. I wanted to throw my brother a big party because he is turning 14. So I offered the week after, in which we argued. It even ran to his mother to try and convince me, but I stood my ground, stating my brother's birthday is important to me and him. There was a little more fighting, but we ended up getting it resolved. There were the roles I wanted my brother to play in my wedding. At first, I offered my brother to be his best man, but he said he wanted his best friend, and I said okay. Then I said ring boy. He would hold the rings on the little pillow and bring it up to us. But James said he wanted his nephew. I said okay and left it. Saturday morning, I was watching this TikTok video where the bride asked her male best friend to be a man of honor. I thought it was sweet, so I decided to bring it to him. When he came home, I was in the kitchen while my brother was at a sleepover at his friend's house that Saturday night. As he entered and sat, I said, I have the perfect role for Matt. He said, what is that? I said, I thought he could be my man of honor, and then both wedding parties then coming out as couples. They can come out as singles. He said, what? I said, man of honor, or I would call it my brother of honor. It would be lovely. He said, but I thought you wanted my sister to be your maid of honor, so that can't work. I said, I never agreed to this, and what about my brother? I want him to play some role in my wedding. He said, I was thinking he could be a guest and sit in the rows. I was completely shocked, like I wanted my brother to be in my wedding and not some side guest. I didn't know what to say. He wanted to put my brother on the sidelines. His whole family was playing some part of the wedding, and most of my bridesmaids were his cousins. Only 2 were close friends, but this he couldn't grant me. I stopped what I was doing and told him, no, it was my wedding too, and I wanted my brother to be my man of honor. And he started that his sister was better, and my brother would be a guest. And he didn't want children in the wedding parties. I completely lost it and started arguing with him from one thing to the next. Since Saturday, he hasn't come home, only sending his brother to pick up some of his stuff, and his mother and sister have been blowing up my phone. I'm a selfish woman, and so what if my brother is a guest? So the last time they called was Wednesday night, and I went batshit crazy on both of them, using language I'm not proud of, but I end the call with, yes, my brother is more important than him and this wedding if it's happening, and I will never put him in front of Matt. So I'm fucking sorry, and had to let James contact me to talk things out. And it's one of those situations that we're seeing who this person is before you're getting married, and that's dodging a bullet in my opinion. OP sounds like a wonderful person to take in her little brother the way that she has and looked after him to the best of her ability. And imagine walking into that relationship knowing that she has this guardian relationship with her brother, and then not including that in the wedding in some kind of way is just absolutely batshit crazy in my opinion. Introduction though says, not the arsehole, pump the brakes on marrying this man baby who runs home to mummy when his temper tantrum doesn't get it what he wants. Then he has his family gang up on his pregnant girlfriend. He does not care about you, your wants, or your needs. He is selfish, self-centered, manipulative, a bully, abusive, and honestly a complete tool. It seems you're only marrying him because you don't want your child born out of wedlock. Please reconsider. His mask is slipping since now he's trapped you with a pregnancy and next a marriage. This is what abusers do. You need to talk to your brother and see if your dipshit baby daddy has been saying anything to him, like threats or how things are going to be when he's the man of the house. Based on what you've said, I bet he either has or has some grand plan as to how life will be in your home. And for the love of God, do not put that man on the deed to your house. In fact, if you go through with the marriage, get a prenup. Bet he loses his shit when you do. You're a great mum to your brother, and you did it all on your own. He's your child, and you're absolutely positively doing the right thing here. You'll be a great mum to your baby as well. If you marry this man, you'll just be parenting another child. Assassination Street quotes after 3 months of dating he proposed and then says this was already a red flag that should have given you pause about him. And all of the other shit. Your soon-to-be ex is jealous of your brother and has planned to cancel him from your/his life after the wedding. I'd be 100% rethinking having a kid with someone like this. He'd be jealous of the baby and thinking up ways to destroy that kid's self-esteem, placing the family and more. First Pay replies to that saying, trying to set up the wedding date on her brother's birthday and trying to stick to it was a pretty big one too. That was very, very deliberate. I can be terrible with dates, so I can give a half-hearted pass to the initial pick of the date if we give benefit of the doubt he forgot. But since his first response wasn't whoops my bad, of course we should pick another date. It is guaranteed a plan to use the date to try and erase little bro a bit. One final comment from Open Incident who says, not the arsehole, he just saved you a miserable marriage. You have worked so hard for your brother's stability. Do not throw it away now by letting this man back into your home. Co-parent with him if you continue the pregnancy, but consider yourself warned. An adult man should not have that much anger towards a child. Do not let him live with your brother. Find out what shit he's already told your brother when you couldn't hear. He will slight your brother over his child every chance he gets. Your brother will suffer if you marry this man or let him live with you again. The OP comes in with her update and says, hello everyone. I'm very sorry I didn't get to update it due to me being busy with work and cancelling every wedding preparation I made and preparing Matt for sports camp. I would like everyone to know that I will not be marrying James and we broke up. Well, on Friday, the week after posting my original post, I got a message from James asking to meet and talk, which I only agreed to if I could pick the day that we could meet, and which he agreed to. After picking a day, which was Sunday, where I knew Matt wouldn't be home all day, and I notified James, and he came around the midday period with his mother. Oh dearie me. I was shocked when I opened the door letting them in, as they sat in my living room not saying a word for a few seconds, which made the moment more awkward. Then James stated he was sorry for leaving and staying away because he needed to think. Then his mother started condemning me, saying that I wasn't acting like a future wife and I should put my future husband's thoughts into consideration, and a lot of other comments. My name, I'm disappointed in you. You're getting married and you need to stop acting like this to your future husband, she said to me. I scoffed hearing that, then turned to James asking what his problem is with my brother, and it has more to do with me showing attention to my brother than him. He sat there not saying a word for a while and stated he wanted a life with me, and the unborn child, but not with Matt. I felt utter disgust for him at that moment as he continued to say that after the wedding and having the baby, he thought he would convince me that raising a baby and a teenager would be hard for both of us, and it'd be best for me to send Matt to live with my uncle and aunt, but he would allow me to still support Matt financially. I was completely shocked. And before he uttered anything else, I told him sorry, but no, isn't happening. My brother isn't going anywhere. I stood up, took off the ring, handed it back to him, and told him that it was over, after saying that both him and his mother got up arguing, that I didn't have to do that, and I will regret this. And he started to cry, asking me to think about what I'm saying. I just walked over to the door, opened it, and gestured for them to leave. A few minutes passed, and then they headed through the door with James crying and pleading while his mother was calling me some nasty names. And later on into the evening, his sister and mother rang down my phone cussing me out. But I only told them to let James come for his remaining stuff. There are a few things I would like to respond to. 1. I saw many ask why I didn't choose Matt to walk me down the aisle. I gave my uncle, my father's older brother, the role because after the whole funeral, he was there helping me to acquire guardianship and just being there over the years for both me and Matt. 2. Furthermore, I made a mistake in my original post. Matt is turning 15 this year. I didn't see the typo. I'm truly sorry for that. 3. Many of you advised me to abort, so I wouldn't have any ties to James. But I'm sorry, I had to think, and I wouldn't do any abortion, and I would carry the baby to full term. 4. As many of you stated, I should sit down and talk to my brother, and if James even mistreated him when I'm not around, in which I did, but he said no, that James mostly ignored him, and he does the same. Plus, I also told him the wedding is off. Now, I didn't like the dude in the first part of the post, and now I fucking despise him. Ugh, how can he walk into this relationship knowing that she's the guardian of her brother and expecting her to just send him away? How disgusting is that? I need to scroll back. I need to see this guy's age. Dude is 31 years old, turning up to his fiance's or ex-fiance's house with his mum. And I know it's not the point of the story, but I always think about these situations. How does that happen? Does he go round to his mum and his mum, right, let's go round there. Come on, James. Or does he turn up at the door and go, Mum, come on, get your coat. We need to go and talk to my fiance. How does that happen? And neither of them stand back and think, fuck me, this is going to look weird. Say it with me, guys. Gee bloody whiz. But anyway, now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. OP dodged the huge bullet there, in my opinion. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And let's move on to another story. Now, our next story comes from Popular Valuable 243 from the Am I the Arsehole subreddit and says, Am I the arsehole for telling my sister that she shouldn't overvalue herself and prepare for the worst? Throwaway account. I, 21 female, have an older sister, Eve, 29 female, who had a first child, Lori, 1 female. And while this should be a time of joy and excitement, there's actually a lot of tension and brewing resentment between her, our mum, and our husband, Jack, 29 male. Despite it being unplanned, Eve's pregnancy was wanted and Jack was an involved partner. He went to most of Eve's appointments, took the birthing classes, and supported Eve's decision to have our mum in the room while he waited outside when she gave birth. The plan was for our mum to be by Eve's side in the room and to help stay for a week after Lori was born. Everyone was cool with this, but unfortunately, our aunt got into some drama with her husband in another state, and our mum rushed over to be at her sister's side. Eve was already in her 3rd trimester, so Jack didn't like the idea of our mum going and voiced it. Our mum told Jack a new one, and Eve even got on his case about it, so he apologized. However, Eve ended up going into labor, and Jack ultimately was the one in the room while our mum was away. When she called, our mum expressed being sad over not being there for the birth of her first grandchild, and she and Eve decided that no one else in the family would see Lori until she got back, without discussing it with Jack. He was understandably not happy as his mum lived about 45 minutes away and was looking forward to meeting Lori too, as she was the first grandchild on both sides. Eve pulled the I just gave birth card and Jack reluctantly allowed it. On the day that our mum was supposed to come back, she missed her flight and couldn't get a new one until the following morning. Our mum could have just rented a car, but she didn't want to spend the money since the airline wouldn't refund the money. Jack was brought up allowing his mum to come again, but Eve refused, citing that he already agreed. Unfortunately, Jack's mum was in a car accident and passed before even getting to meet Laurie, since Eve wouldn't even allow a video chat. Jack was distraught. He moved to the guest bedroom, went to the funeral alone, and refuses to engage with Eve at all. Jack's side of the family keeps calling and messaging Eve to tell her what a selfish and awful person she is, and Jack refuses to defend. Eventually, Eve got sick of it and packed up and left to our mum's house to teach Jack a lesson. But he hasn't texted or called. Our mum thinks that he just needs some space and that he'll call soon, but I just laughed at that. Didn't mean to though. My mum and Eve asked me why I laughed, and I tried to brush it off or even leave, but they couldn't let me and pressed for an answer. Eventually I told her that while the accident wasn't her fault, she did keep Laurie away from Jack's mum, meeting her for a week, and now she never will. There's no way Jack is going to ever love you enough to forgive that, and that you should prepare for the worst. Eve started to bawl her eyes out while mum berated me, so I left. Am I the arsehole? Edit, just to clarify, because I keep seeing this when the accident first happened. Eve has apologized 3 separate times. Jack has admitted to this, and Eve intended to go to the funeral with him, but he drove off without her. Jack does interact with Laurie. It's Eve that he's icing out, and my niece is the only thing he's willing to talk to Eve about. Jack had been living in the guest room for about 5 months before he left. She's offered to go to couples counseling, but Jack has refused. So, some relevant comments. Someone says, "What was up with your aunt?" Opie says, to be fair, it wasn't a small thing. My aunt's husband was revealed to be cheating and used her personal information to take out credit cards in her name to pay for his side piece, plus the potential danger of her own health. A commenter who was downvoted says, "You're the arsehole. You're completely right, but you're an arsehole to mention it. Why rub it in and cause drama? You should have kept silent. Staying out of it would have been the reasonable option. They needed someone to blame. Why offer yourself up for that?" Opie says, "I tried to brush it off and walk away, but they physically stood in front of my way and demanded an answer." Someone says, if she's still bad-mouthing him, she obviously didn't mean it. The apology, with an understanding of what exactly she did wrong. Hope Jake is well supported by his family and can see his daughter soon. Opie says Eve hasn't bad-mouthed him, at least to me, since his mum's accident, but she is frustrated that he's no longer affectionate and doesn't engage with her like before. Another downvoted commenter says, "You're the arsehole, sorry, but are you married? A parent? In love? In a relationship? No? Maybe put a cork in it." Why would you say something like that? It was incredibly vindictive and nasty. She is a new mother going through it, and you could have been compassionate, even civil. You laughing at someone's misfortunes, much less your sister, says a lot about your character. Her husband may never forgive her, but that's not on her. To be honest, it'd be hard to forgive you for kicking her when she was down, so there's that. Opie says married? No. A parent? No. In love? Yes. In a relationship? Also yes. And please read the post again. Laurie is now a year old and Jack's mum died when she was less than 3 weeks old. This has been an ongoing issue with months, and I tried not to say anything and even walk away in order to be civil, but my mum and sister kept pressing me for an answer. Commenter says, "Why didn't Jack just let his mother come anyway? I'm amazed he put up with that bullshit. He sounds like a treasure of a husband, and Eve really screwed herself by treating him and his family like that." Opie says, "Because it was just supposed to be 1 week. No one saw this accident coming, and Jack didn't want to stress out my sister, who had just given birth. He was even trying to respect her wishes and got screwed over because of it." A commenter says, "The fact that your sister wouldn't even allow a FaceTime. That's some ridiculously petty bullshit. She deserves to be a struggling single mom for that choice alone. I wouldn't blame Jack for being the type of co-parent who will only co-parent through a phone app." Opie says, "Yeah, I think her being pregnant made her lose touch with reality and logic a little bit. She's usually understanding and reasonable." On the Eve's apologies and Mum's apologies, Opie said, "From what she told me, it was I'm sorry I did X the first time, and then I'm sorry but I didn't know that Y would happen, and then I'm sorry but we can." Opie also says, my mum did reach out to give her condolences for Jack's mum's passing. I don't know if she apologized for insisting on being the first grandparent to see the baby. Also, I know that Eve apologized at least 3 separate times, but it could have been more. I honestly don't know. But overall, Opie was voted not the arsehole in this situation, and then followed up with an update 2 months later and said, hey, it's been a couple of weeks, and due to people still occasionally asking, I thought I'd give people some quick updates to the situation. Here are the basic bullet points. My sister has now been officially diagnosed with postpartum depression, and that is the trump card / Hail Mary of the situation. My sister and her husband are living together and are in couples therapy. My sister is in individual counseling. My niece has now been officially introduced to a few members of her paternal side, and they all love her. Jack's family have ceased their negative comments about my sister, but she says they're still pretty formal and distant towards her. I honestly don't know if she'll ever be in their good graces again, and will only put up with her for my brother-in-law and niece's sake. My niece's name, first and middle, is going to be legally changed to whatever Jack wants. For the next 5 years, brother-in-law's side of the family is getting priority when it comes to any and all holidays. My mum will be on a strict info diet when it comes to the baby. No pictures unless Jack approves. This is all I know right now, and my mum is not happy with any of this and is calling Jack a controlling arsehole. But my sister is holding firm in an effort to save her marriage. She claims that brother-in-law and her are making progress in counseling, and I hope for her sake that is true. It's gonna suck not being able to see my niece as much as I wanted for the next possible few years, but compared to never being able to see her at all, like Jack's mum, it is what it is. I know a lot of you may not be happy with this update, but it is what it is for now. OP adds some thoughts below that and says, I won't deny that Jack has taken full advantage of Eve's willingness to do whatever it takes to save the marriage. Jack has never come off as a controlling person in the past. I mean, he didn't put up any opposition to Eve's request and demand since finding out she was pregnant, but Eve has a support system if she feels like it's getting to be too much. I'm not going to get involved until I suspect violence. The commenter says, I don't know how I feel about this. Changing the baby's name after a year to whatever the husband wants. Priority for holidays for 5 years. No pictures for your mum unless Jack approves of it. This seems like jumping from the fire pan directly into the fire. If these are the terms set up by Jack in order to save the marriage, 1, I doubt the marriage counselor knows about these specific ones I mentioned, and 2, is it even worth saving? Your sister has no autonomy over their child, no autonomy over her schedule, no ability to share a photo with her mother. You have limited contact with your niece. Who really won here other than Jack and his family, who might someday be nice to your sister? Yes, your sister was wrong in the original post. Of course she was, but not one thing on the list can change what happened. Not one. And this part of the list sounds like they could lead to some DV situations in the future on Jack's part. Isolation from support systems is one of those factors. Opie says Jack's mum suddenly passed away and she was a loving and sweet person. I wouldn't exactly call it a win. Also, from what Eve has told me, it is not isolation so much as strict boundaries. Eve said that these restrictions were only for the baby and that she's able to still have regular contact with whoever else she chooses. This just feels like one of those stories that isn't going to end well. Like the comment said, it just feels like there's going to be resentment down the line with these conditions, etc. None of it feels healthy, but what do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, for getting involved in the stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much for being involved, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.
Yeah, man, I remember being so naive when life was good, weather and palm trees. Back in the day, you were everything I need. But then along came a time when you crushed my dreams. Oh yeah, you played me like a fool when you made me believe that the line between love wasn't thick enough to read. Oh yeah, you see we in the spare crime everywhere. You're selling false hope cause you just don't care. Nah, you just don't care.